Wow. My name is Dr. Bill Law, and I'm the president at St. Petersburg College. We want to welcome you and thank you today for joining us in a really important celebration for our community. On June 9th, Governor Scott signed House Bill 851, which does a variety of things, one of which we have high visibility celebration, but it makes undocumented immigrants in Florida eligible to pay in-state tuition. I need to take a moment of personal privilege. That's not all it did, though. And we have today with us veterans from St. Petersburg College. It also allowed veterans who make Florida their home eligible to come to Florida to attend our college and to pay the in-state tuition rate. And we're delighted to have you. Say a word of thanks to our veterans if you would, okay? Thanks for being with us today. The legislation is historic for the state of Florida, as we now become the 20th state to offer in-state tuition for undocumented students. It upholds a promise to students, the promise of access to degrees and certificates that can change their lives. I'd like to recognize the members of the Pinellas County Delegation. These are members who gave their full support for this legislation. I'd like to thank them for their efforts. With us today is Representative Ed Hooper. Please stand up. Ed Hooper, great college supporter. Others in that delegation include Representative Dwight Dudley, Representative Kathleen Peters, Representative Darrell Roussan, Representative Carl Zimmerman, and Senator Athenia Joyner of Tampa. But I want to say a particular thanks to the bill's two sponsors, Senator Jack Latvala and Representative Jeanette Nunez, for their tireless efforts, emphasis on tireless efforts in support of this issue. Their leadership on behalf of our students was invaluable. We thank Senator Latvala for joining us today and for providing the college and the community an opportunity to express our appreciation for his work in spearheading this legislation. Today, we also welcome St. Petersburg College students to be with us, our alumni, our community leaders, who will explain from their perspective the impact of this new law. I would like to introduce first then a great friend of the college, great friend of mine, Ms. Maria Edmonds, the chair of the Hispanic Leadership Council, and she will make further introductions. Maria.
Thank you. Look at this room. I am amazed and happy. This is a happy day. I too must express my deepest appreciation to Senator Latvala, Representative Nunez, and the Pinellas County Delegation, as well as Senator Joyner from Tampa, for doing the right thing for our children. In the words of Benjamin Disraeli, Prime Minister of England in 1874, he said, "Upon the education of the people of this country, the fate of the country depends." And it is so, so true. The impact of this historic legislation is going to have a direct effect in the future of this state, of this county, and most of all, in the lives of the many thousands of children that want a better life and a better community. Now, their dreams, 10 years in the making, has come true and will become reality. And I don't have to say anything more. I just have to introduce to you some of the dreamers that are here with us today. They will tell their story, and you will know why this is so important. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce our first dreamer. Call on stage Nancy Hernandez. Nancy. Nancy graduated from SPC with an AA degree and is now an SPC employee attending USF where she is majoring in communication.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who is present. I will begin. Buenos dias. My name is Nancy Hernandez, and today I will share with you my happiness and my gratitude for this bill that has been passed. I will speak on behalf of those students who are not present and all of those students who have not been heard yet. Si lo puedes soñar, lo puedes lograr. Lo puedes hacer, sí se puede. If I could offer one tip for the future, believe would be it. Don't stress yourself about the future. Think of the present. The real troubles in life are those that never cross your worried mind. Do one thing every day that scares you. Don't waste time on jealousy, regrets, and things that don't matter. The journey is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself. Remember the compliments, awards you have received, those accomplishments you have worked so hard to achieve, and forget the insults people speak. Be kind to your mind. Use it in every way you can. Don't be afraid of it or what people think when you speak. It's the greatest instrument you'll ever own. Don't ever stop believing. Dreams do come true. If you can dream it, you can do it. Yes, you can. 4 years ago, I remember speaking to one of my closest friends, Francisco, who was talking to me about how he really had no plans to continue his education after high school. I asked him the reason, and he said, I don't have the papers. To my surprise, I found out that he was undocumented. I never realized because he spoke English so fluently and perfectly. Couple months later, he graduated, as he said, and he wasn't able to continue his school while I went off to St. Petersburg College. But not so long after, in 2012, when he was able to apply for a temporary work visa and stay away from deportation, not only that, but had the opportunity of a lifetime, which was to continue his education. Today, Francisco and many students have been working so hard to save up money to continue with their school. And with this bill just passed, their lives have been changed and will be changed forever. This is the moment. This is my dream. This is their dream. The dream I've been waiting to live has come to reality. I'm very blessed to have been part of this because I am proud to know that my institution and the school I am an alumnus from has made this dream come true. Many students will now be able to continue their education for an affordable price and accomplish their goals and dreams. Keep on dreaming, dreamers. This is only the beginning of this new journey. Si lo puedes hacer, lo puedes lograr. Lo puedes lograr, sí se puede. Credit to Walt Disney and Baz Luhrmann. Thank you.
Wow, that was powerful. Next will be Celeste Kinto, who was accepted into early college at SPC and earned an AA this past spring and will be attending Florida Polytechnic later this year. And I am very familiar with Celeste and her family, who are incredible people in this community. So welcome, Celeste.
Thank you. Buenos dias, everyone. For this bill to pass means it's such a big part of my life. I recently graduated from the early college program here with SPC, and a few weeks afterwards I graduated with my high school diploma from Clearwater High School. In the fall, I will be attending Florida Polytechnic, where right now the tuition is only $5,000. If this bill had not passed, I would have been spending $23,000, $18,000 savings. Yeah, that's pretty good to me. Also, with that scholarship they're offering, only $30 for me per year. That's pretty good too. And for the future generations to come, my younger siblings and all my cousins and everyone they know, everyone who has been here in this community ever since they were born. I know that if they decide to continue education after high school, that they will be able to achieve whatever they want to study in. Last week here at the college, when they did the showing of Brazil versus Mexico for the FIFA Cup, a few of my siblings and other dancers from the community presented their Mexican folklore dancing. And for them to show off their heritage, that makes them really proud. And they're all from this community. They've all been raised here. A few of them are in high school already, a few of them still in elementary school. But I know that later on, when they decide to go to college, that this bill being passed won't serve as an obstacle for them. They'll be able to continue. So, not only is this bill very good for all the students that have just graduated, but as I mentioned, for all the generations coming up and for Florida to be the 20th state, everywhere else that hasn't passed yet, we're trying to get them to pass as well. Thank you, Senator Latvala and Mr. Ed Hooper, Dr. Bill Lott, and all the supporters, all the dreamers, all the support that we've had for this bill. Thank you very much.
Finally, will be Jose Flores, who is current SPC student pursuing an AA degree.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jose. I'm a part-time student here at SPC pursuing a general AA degree. I have been here for two semesters, and I have only been able to take 2 classes due to the high cost of tuition. I pay over $1,200 for one class, 3 credit hours. Since I was young, I always had a dream of becoming a basketball player, or at least be part of my high school basketball team. But because of my status here, I was denied the possibility of becoming the star I always wanted to be. I had to work long-hour shifts to be able to support my family, pay my bills, and be able to save enough money for my education. Along my journey, I have overcome many obstacles. I have sacrificed not being able to see my mother for 3 years. I don't have anyone to give me a hug and say, "You can do it." By 16, I was already independent. I no longer had a mother that would look up after me. At this point, I knew I had to grow up fast and become independent. Starting today, tomorrow, and from now on, there is nothing that can stop me from achieving my goals. Thanks to this bill that has passed, it will give me the opportunity to continue my education and be able to become someone successful. I will no longer be stressing myself for not being able to have enough money to pay for my tuition. At this moment, I would like to give a special thanks to all of those individuals who've made this dream possible, which will not only help me, but will help others who are in the same position as me. I will now leave you all with this quote said by Nelson Mandela. "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world."
Thank you, Jose, and the other speakers, Jose, Nancy, and Celeste. Hello, my name is Devron Gibbons. I'm chairman of the Board of Trustees here at St. Petersburg College, and I have the mic to introduce a great Floridian. I have known Senator Jack Latvala for over 20 years. And I can describe him very easily. I can talk about all the bills he's passed. I can talk about all the legislation that he has been a part of. I can go through his education history. I can go through how long he has been a part of Florida in many ways. But that's not what's important. What's important is In the process that I work in, I have been a lobbyist for probably 21 years. I can't believe that, Senator Latvala. It seems like yesterday. Over 21 years. And in this process, when you go to Tallahassee, lobbyists, we sit back and we say, oh, I don't want that guy to sponsor my bill or that person to sponsor my bill, because we know that some folks don't have the ability to take a bill from beginning to end and pass it. And let me just say this. Every time Senator Latvala's name comes up, it is we want him to have that particular bill. It's because he is tenacious. He is a hard worker. He is one of the few people in the Florida legislature that, especially in the Senate, in the Florida legislature, that he builds a bridge. And if you saw the folks who sponsored this bill with him, he builds a bridge across party lines. He is one of the few people in the Florida legislature that gets things done, not just in his first term, but also now you see in his second term as a senator, he's getting things accomplished that are for the good of the state of Florida. At our campus in February, Senator Latvala said that he would sponsor this bill, and look where we're standing now. We're celebrating how the state universities and college systems and these young people that want to go to the state university and college system are going to be saving money. I thought that was phenomenal that Celeste is going to pay $30, where before she would have had to pay $23,000. These folks have worked hard, have been a part of our community, and the senator recognized that, along with, I can't forget his partner in crime who passed this bill with him, our friend from Miami, Representative Jenna Nunez. She's a great fighter as well. Actually served as a legislative aide and then became a state legislator. We have great people working on these issues in Tallahassee. So I can keep going on and I can tell you about all the things that, like I said, like Senator Latvala has done. But we're sitting here today because he passed this DREAM Act. He's given folks an opportunity to achieve the dream. And that's what he's about. He doesn't worry about where the partisan line stops or starts, but he just says this is what's right for Florida. And here's a champion for all Floridians, Senator Jack Latvala.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the opportunity to sort of return to the scene of the crime. This is where we started out announcing we were going to do this bill, right here on this campus. But the germination of my thinking about this subject goes back even further than that. And I'm going to be a little bit political for a second and say that, many of you know I served in the Senate back in the 90s for 8 years, and then I came back in 2010 and served a district that was basically east of US 19 all the way to St. Pete, and then it had Tampa in it. So the 2012 election was the first time I really ran in my whole career in the entire city of Clearwater. And when I ran, I had a last-minute opponent that was brought into the general election who didn't live in the district, who really never campaigned, never raised any money, never advertised or whatever. And we ran the race, and in 2012, and then I looked at the results. And the results in Clearwater showed me losing 12 or 14 precincts. And a guy like me, who with a big ego and with a lot of experience in politics, I couldn't understand why that someone who never campaigned, no one knew, would have beat me in those precincts. So I looked a little deeper, and I discovered that those precincts were precincts, by and large, that had a large Hispanic population on them. So I reached out to Sandra Lythe and Maria, and I said, one of the things that I believe in doing is being a senator to all the folks in my district, and I want you to pull together a group of the Hispanic leaders in the community for me to sit down and see what I can do to be more responsive or to be responsive to that segment of our community. Because granted, I didn't have a lot of involvement. 2 of the precincts I lost were the precincts right next to where I live, out in eastern Clearwater. And so we had a forum at Oak Grove Middle School one evening, and we had 30 or 40 folks there, and we went around the room, and someone told me the story about a young Hispanic lady in Clearwater whose parents were illegals, who really wanted to be a doctor. And she went through she was in the medical magnet and all of this sort of stuff, but the limiting factor was the fact that because her parents were illegals, she could not go to a state university and then thus could not go to medical school. Very, very bright young lady. And, that I remembered that. Sometimes you don't think I'm paying attention, but I am, and I remembered that. So last year, I signed on with a bill that Senator Flores had that would have basically changed and applied in-state tuition to everyone, and that bill didn't go anywhere. And so, but I tried to help on it, and I signed on as a co-sponsor, and Then in February of this year, one Sunday morning, I got up and I was reading the Times, and I see an op-ed piece written by the Speaker of the House, Will Weatherford, who is a young Republican politician who has his entire political career ahead of him, and he was advocating for this bill that we passed. And I said to myself, well, if a young Republican politician who's going to take a lot of heat within his party for sponsoring and pushing an issue like that can do that, then the least I can do is help him. So I called him, or I texted him that very day and said, look, I'll help you with that bill if you want me to. We announced it shortly thereafter right here on this campus that we were going to work on it. Representative Hooper was standing right by my side, and wasn't an entirely popular issue with my political party. But we started down the road, and we crafted a bill that did more. Part of the strategy of passing the bill was to craft a bill that did more than just the in-state tuition. We crafted a bill that reduced tuition across the board. We did away with the automatic cost of living increase that was in the statute for higher education institutions in Florida. We did away with the ability of the universities, their boards, to hike tuition as much as 15% a year, just based on their individual differential that they wanted for their university. We included in that the veterans piece, which Representative Kathleen Peters and I were already sponsoring as a separate bill, to give all veterans, no matter where when they separated from the service, no matter where they lived, give all veterans the right, if they came to Florida, to have in-state tuition. And we put the piece in there requiring in-state tuition for all Florida high school graduates who've been in Florida high schools for 3 years, regardless of the immigration status of them or their parents. And we put that together with a bill. We went to the governor, and the governor said, if you put that whole package together, I will support that, which was a major step. And Governor Scott was very, very helpful in passing that package because he believes tuition is too high. Obviously, I had the help of the Speaker Weatherford. We reached out to some other folks whose names are really important with my political party. One of them was former Governor Jeb Bush. He helped me. He made calls to other people within my caucus in the Senate to try to get this bill heard. And we were successful. And one of the results that was just announced last week of this bill, and I don't know if there's anybody in this room that might have a prepaid contract. A prepaid contract for young families is one of the ways that they buy and secure in the cost of higher education for their babies when they're born and as they grow up. And some grandparents do it for their grandchildren when they're born. What we did in this bill reduced the cost of a prepaid contract in Florida by $20,000. $20,000. So this bill did a lot of good things. And as a matter of fact, 50,000 households in Florida will get refund checks in September based on reducing that and based on money that they've already paid. So the in-state tuition is obviously what many of you are interested in. but it was a bill that reduced tuition overall. In the end, we had over 2/3 of the members of the Florida House of Representatives, and we had right at 2/3 of the members of the Florida Senate, half Republicans, half Democrats, that voted for this bill to make it successful. I think it was the right thing to do. You know, when you go back to in-state tuition, and I have to go to the Republican clubs and explain this, and I have a lot of questions from my fellow Republicans about why would I do this. And what I try to do is I go back to the history of how in-state tuition developed to start with. Many people don't realize that tuition doesn't pay the whole cost of higher education. Tuition only pays 1/3 of the cost of higher education. Taxpayers in the state budget pay 2/3 of the cost of that higher education. The idea was that if you were a Floridian and if you paid taxes in Florida, you should get a break for your kids to go to school. And someone who's from Georgia or California that wants to come to Florida to go to school where they don't pay taxes that fund 2/3 of the higher education budget should pay a higher amount. Had nothing to do with citizenship. It was based on who was a taxpayer. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you know in your individual circumstances that even though there may be some citizenship issues, there's not an issue with the fact that your parents have paid taxes, have worked in Florida, and deserve the same break that every other child that graduates from a Florida high school gets. I'm happy we were able to deliver that. I hope that's the first step of trying to bring more equity across the board to the diverse population that we have here in Florida. I'm going to dedicate myself to that. Representative Hooper has dedicated himself to that. Even though Ed's going to be leaving us in Tallahassee, we'll be working with him here on the local level, and I appreciate so much his assistance and the other members of the delegation that supported this. And I appreciate Dr. Law and Devron. A wonderful institution you have here. We got a lot of other things we're going to work on for this institution in the next year, like saving your baccalaureate degrees. There's some people that are after the baccalaureate degrees that are granted here. And the opportunity at a college level tuition to be able to get degrees that you might not otherwise be able to get in a four-year university. We're going to work on that over the next year, but it's my honor, my privilege, and my pleasure to represent you in the Florida Senate. And if I can ever help you in any way, please call on me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator. As you can see, someone else had the bill last year, but look who got it moved. He is like I said, a tireless fighter for the Floridians, for us, for all of us. Senator, would you come back up here? On behalf of Dr. Law, the Board of Trustees, and all of the St. Petersburg College family, would all of our employees just stand up? St. P. College employees? On behalf of our entire family here at St. Petersburg College, we'd like to present you with this proclamation honoring you, as well as the Pinellas County Delegation and the other folks that helped you with this bill. Thank you. Yeah, make me look thin.
You got one more. All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
On behalf of the Clearwater campus of St. Petersburg College, I want to thank you all for being here today. I would encourage you to stick around for some refreshments and fellowship. If you stay until noon, we're viewing the World Cup Costa Rica versus England game today in this very room. And in conclusion, I'd like to ask our legislators to stick around for just a few minutes. We'd like to memorialize this event with photographs. Thank you all.